Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Tyler from the Keep Pounding podcast. And how about them Cowboys, baby? What a game. I think it was the best game of the season. Just how we played, the expectations, everything. It was the best one of the season. There's a couple of personal reasons, too, I'll get into in a minute, but what a game, bro. What a game. This was such a good game. And, I want to dive into it, guys. I want to talk about this game. We'll talk about obviously it was a really good game. There's some things that we need to clean up and do to get better at, but overall, this is a really good game. But let's dive into it. One of the reasons why this was such a great game for me because my boy Josh, we had a nice little bet going on. The loser was going to wear the other team's merch and post it on social media. And this is his profile picture for the next week. Josh, you look so beautiful, bro. You look so good in black and blue. I think you would like it better than the silver and white. I mean, those are just really lame colors. This blue just looks so good on you. Keep the shirt. I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of girls coming to you with wearing the shirt, bro. It makes your shoulders look good. You're looking really good. So, I know it was a bad moment. Your Cowboys lost, but I'm telling you, you got a good shirt out of it. You got a good shirt out of it. So, salute to my boy Josh. I appreciate you, keeping your word. I still got your shirt in my car. Let me know and I'll send it back to you. So, salute to Josh. Appreciate it, my friend. But let's dive into it, guys. Let's dive into it. So, let's talk about the offensive snap percentage. So obviously, you have the offensive lineman that played. You have Brady Christensen, Damian Lewis, Icky, Yashin Nijman, and Cade Mays all played 100% snaps. Obviously, Bryce did as well. T Mac playing 93%. Rico playing 88%, and bro, I feel like the guy can't run all the whole time. I'm surprised. 88%, that's a lot. Tommy Tremble, XL with 73%. Mitchell Evans getting a little bit more touches as well with the Jatavian Sanders out. Bryson Tremaine, Hunter Renfro, makes sense. Jamie Horn gaining a little bit more as well. I believe he was at 10% last time. So it's just good to see the younger guys getting more and more snap shares. So that was the offensive snap percentage. And then you got the defensive snap percentage. So the guys that are on the field the whole time were Mike Jackson, J.C. Horn, Trevin Wallace, and Trayvon Moerig. Nick Scott pretty much played every snap as well. Derek Brown, his snap percentage has been slowly increasing as well. Christian Roseboom playing majority of the snaps. So yeah, I mean Cam Jackson. I'm surprised. I mean, it makes sense like why he's not playing that much. You got Ashawn Robinson and Derek Brown out there, and Bobby Brown as well. But I just thought he would get a little bit more shares with Turk Wharton out. But what I'm really shocked about is Damani Richardson, bro. Damani Richardson isn't really getting any snap percentage, and he looked so good last year. So I know he's primarily playing special teams, but that's something where I really thought at the beginning of the year that Damani Richardson and or Lathan Ramson would replace Nick Scott, but that has not been the case. Corey Thornton did well out there. Even with Shaw Smith Wade back, they still had him out there. I thought Corey Thornton looked really good. Lathan Ramson, I feel like his snap percentage went down a little bit compared to last week. Princely, a little bit more than last time. I believe it was at 23% last time. So the snap, I feel like Ezra Evero is doing a little bit better getting the younger players out there a little bit more, even with Pat Jones and DJ Wanham out there. They Evero is still doing a good job of getting those players out there to get those reps. So shout out to E. And then the PFF grade. So obviously this past Sunday against the Cowboys, the offense of the Panthers offense played a lot better than the defensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball still didn't do terrible, but the offense played a lot better. They played a lot better. Mitchell Evans, another week where he's at the top of the PFF grade. So this is a rookie tight end that I'm really pleased about. He's getting a little bit more snap percentage each week. He's still performing at a high level. He's really good at pass blocking, really good at catching the ball. So this is somebody that I'm looking forward to continue to develop. Damian Lewis, Cade Mays, Josh Nijman did really good. This was somebody that I was really surprised that contributed really well Sunday against the Cowboys. I really thought he was going to be a liability, and he wasn't. Brady Christensen continued to do well at right guard. Um, even XL. I think if you didn't have that really bad play that we'll talk about a little later, that would be a little higher. The PFF grades, Lathan Ransom, another poor week on PFF wise. I know that and again, we'll talk about the specifics, but he got beat on a play. I don't really deep dive into each play, but I just look at it from an overall view. And the only thing that really stuck out was him taking a bad angle for a touchdown. Mike Jack has been doing pretty poor recently. It makes sense why he's down there as well. JC Horn again. Corners are not doing well. Even Corey Thornton down there, and Trayvon Moore. The whole secondary is at the bottom there. Everybody from like front seven you'll see at the top 10, but the secondary has been not doing well. So overall, from a team perspective, that's things are getting better, but things can get better. Now let's get into the game. I want to go in specifically different position groups, offense and defense. Specifically, let's talk about Ryan Fitzgerald. So Ryan Fitzgerald had a hell of a game. He obviously made all three of his extra points, but he also made all three of his field goals. The biggest one, besides obviously the game-winning field goal at 33 yards, I felt like the biggest crucial kick was the one near the end of the first half where they had 25 seconds left, where he kicked a 55-yard field goal. And it was crucial, one, for the points, but two, if he misses that, Dallas gets the ball at the Carolina's 37-yard line, and they could literally just move the ball 20 yards, and that will give plenty of room for Dallas's kicker, Aubrey, who is one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL right now. But Ryan Fitzgerald has continued to really step up in a big way. I really thought, to be honest with you guys, I really thought that he would be someone that would be a factor of why we lose close games, and he has proven the opposite, which I'm very pleased to see that he is being a reason why we're winning close games. But he's also continuing to kick well on kickoffs, the ball placement, the knuckleball kicks. He's really giving opposing special teams, kick returners, a difficult time. So he has really been a bright spot. The whole rookie class, this is one of the best rookie classes that we've had, and he is definitely one of them. Undrafted free agent, obviously out of Florida State, but this guy is somebody that, again, can continue to improve. I feel like he can obviously get better, but he is making the kicks that he needs to make. And so shout out to Ryan Fitzgerald. He was a obviously a key reason and creep a main player as to why we won against the Cowboys this past Sunday. Run defense, man. Run defense has been phenomenal the last couple weeks. So big shout out to the front seven here. Run defense. I think we're top 10 run defense now. I think we're ranked 9th overall as far as rushing yards allowed. So last week we only allowed 29 yards. This week we only allowed 31 yards on 19 carries. So the last 2 weeks have only allowed 50 yards total. But the Dallas Cowboys could not run the ball. Obviously, it's just like the Miami Dolphins couldn't. The Cowboys averaged 1.6 yards per attempt. The longest run that they had was at 6 yards. And it's funny, the Rico's, which we'll talk about him in a little later, his first run was 9 yards. So the Cowboys had a really hard time running the ball. They couldn't. But the front seven, again, was playing very well. The run defense the last 2 games have been amazing. Teams can't run up the middle anymore. last year you could run up the middle, you could run 200 yards. I believe we had 7 straight 200-yard or games where we gave up 200 yards rushing. So this has been a huge turnaround. Huge shout out to Dan Morgan and to this coaching staff, making a huge turnaround for this defense where teams can't run on the ball really on us right now. Um, but this team is playing really good team defense. The inside linebackers, Roseboom and Wallace, they're continuing to play better football against really good offensive teams. Obviously, you have the Cowboys, that is probably the number one, if not, I think the number one overall offense as far as points scored. But also the Dolphins. The Dolphins have a really decent offense as well. So, but I have really noticed a big difference in Trevor Wallace the last couple of weeks. Like the guy is playing more downhill. He is able to avoid blocks. He's hitting the gaps with more confidence that I'm seeing on film and during the games. And he's had some key some uh, passes batted in coverage. So he has really stepped up, and not just in the run game, but also in coverage as well. Um, this I know Matt Eberflus. I think is his name, Eberflus, the guy that came from Chicago, the defensive coordinator, came first year defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys didn't really do anything for their defense this past off season. If anything, they made it worse by trading Micah Parsons. I understand Micah Parsons isn't known for his run defense, but you can't tell me trading Micah Parsons improved this defense at all, right? They didn't really get any pass rush on us. We didn't get really that much pass rush on them either. But Matt Eberflus, you can't fully. This is the Panthers defense of last year. I mean, you can only do so much with the talent you got around you. But I also felt like I didn't understand what he was doing some of the times where we were running the ball really well in short yardage situations. We have 7 guys on the offensive line, and he still only has 4 defensive linemen at the line. He didn't really show that he was able to make any in-game adjustments. So I'm not a defensive coordinator. I'm not X's and O's guys, but I feel like that was very puzzling to me. But run defense has been phenomenal. Now, the one thing that we have been struggling with is our secondary. Secondary has been struggling the last couple weeks, and they continue to struggle. They had Stephon Diggs, where we played the Patriots. Jalen Waddle had a game. George Pickens had a game. We're just not able to stop wide receiver one, right? Pickens, he had a field day against us. So he had 9 receptions for almost 170 yards, and 87 of those yards came from yards after catch. He also had a TD. He accounted for 64% of the passing yards. Like this guy pretty much single-handedly destroyed our secondary. And I mean, again, like we've given up last week against Miami, we gave up over 250 yards passing. This week we gave over 260 yards passing. There were the Cowboys, give him credit. Dak is playing MVP level football. George Pickens, he was wide receiver 2 with the Steelers. Now he seems like a star. Imagine CeeDee Lamb back, and then the Cowboys getting their starting guard back. This offense can look even better, and they're going to probably have to be better because their defense is just god awful. But they were really aggressive, surprisingly. But now looking back on it, after the game, it makes sense why they're so aggressive with fourth down conversions, because they knew their defense wouldn't be able to stop anything. But they made some crucial fourth down conversions. They had a 4th and 1, the play action to the fullback for a touchdown. They had a 4th down near the Carolina 20, where they had a touchdown to the tight end Tyler Ferguson. So this offense played aggressive and stayed aggressive throughout the whole game. But I don't know if it's everyone not trusting like Mike Jackson, the secondary. I don't know what it is, but I just feel like with us being able to stop the run, which is great, right? We want to be able to stop the run and keep opposing teams one-dimensional. But when you're getting beat by wide receiver ones, Diggs, Waddle, and now Pickens, why are you not able to make adjustments? Is it a personnel issue, or is it the inability or the unwillingness to adapt, especially in game play calling. I understand the bend don't break scheme. That's for defense that are you know, that aren't good. But to me, this defense, specifically the secondary, it's just too conservative. They play too off. Um, is it like we don't have the personnel to switch to man? Again, I understand Mike Jackson has been playing awful the last 2, 3 weeks. He was playing really well, but it might be that Mike Jackson just doesn't play well against man. I don't know. I really don't know the answer, but and I say that because I don't know if this is an Evero issue or if it's a personnel issue. But for us being able, we're pretty much, I think we're the second team in the NFL to play the most coverage versus man in the whole entire NFL. But again, the front seven's doing well. We're stopping the run, right? But we're not getting any sacks or pressures. I think we had a 17% pressure rate. That's horrible, dude. 17% pressure rate, and we didn't get any sacks against the Cowboys. So now we only have 5 sacks through 6 games. I looked it up. The NFL average sacks per game is 2 to 2.5. So teams average 35 to 42 sacks in a season. We're on track for only 15 sacks in a season. Like, that's pathetic. And I get, like, we have 2 young rookie edge rushers, DJ Wanham, Pat Jones. Like, they're not known for, like, big time edge rushers, but we should we should be getting home a little bit more often. That's probably gonna be something we're really gonna attack in the offseason because Dak had all the time in the world to sit in the pocket and pick apart our coverage. Because again, we can stop the run, but if we're not able to get to the quarterback and he can sit there, they're going to tear apart our defense. Because any decent quarterback is going to be able to tear apart our zone coverage schemes. Josh Allen will, Pat Mahomes will, probably not Michael Penix, right? Probably not Justin Fields against the Jets. But when you're playing better teams, you have to put pressure on the quarterback. If you don't, they're going to pick you apart. So again, this is still a building, like, there's still things to build on this team, and hopefully people develop. Hopefully Princey develops, Scorton develops into more of a pass rusher. But and this team is getting better, but there's still work to be done, specifically secondary and pass rush. It's good that we fixed the run. We're making teams one dimensional, but when they have to pass, they're getting all the time in the world. The only time we really get pressure is if we're sending Trayvon Moehrig, or maybe there's been a couple times that Derek Brown's gotten home, or like or gotten pressures from stunts. So there's still, I don't know what the answer is, but there's still things that need to be done for us to fix these issues that we have. And again, I don't know if it's a Evero, a personnel issue, or both. Now, going to more of the offense, I thought T Mac overall, this is probably one of his, from a stat perspective, yards wise, not his best game. He had 5 targets, 3 receptions for almost 30 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. So he finally had his first touchdown of the game. He had 2 on the day, but he's still dropping the ball, and one of them led to an interception early in the game. So on the interception, Dallas on that possession, that's where they went for that 4th and 1 on the play action to the fullback, which was a great call, by the way. But that led to a touchdown. But on the next drive, T Mac got his first career touchdown. So, I'm glad that he made up for it. But T Mac, again, great. He's our wide receiver 1, obviously. And I can't wait to get Jalen Coker back. We'll talk about that in a minute. But he's our wide receiver 1. And he's a rookie, but he's obviously known for his hands. And recently, has had a little case of the dropsies. Now, I feel like his confidence, he's able to move on to the next play. I don't think there's a mental component, kind of how Excel like that. I think there's like a mental component there, but he's got to be a little bit better, a little more aggressive, and at catching the ball. But T Mac, it was good to see him have his first catch of the season. And I thought XL had a better game. He only had 2 receptions for 11 yards on only 2 targets. And there's a couple plays where he was open for big plays. He had one where Bryce, I believe, he had a play action move to his left, and then he got pressure right in his face, and XL was open in the left corner of the end zone. Yeah, was it Diggs? I can't remember his first name. Um, Trayvon Diggs it was slipped, and XL was wide open, but their pressure was already in Bryce's face, and he just kind of threw it away. And then there's another play where XL had Diggs beat really bad on a stop and go route, and Diggs just grabbed him because he was going to get beat for a touchdown. So XL again, stat wise, not the best, right? But he looked like he was a little bit more confident out there. There were some plays out there that could have been made where some big plays, but he, even though he didn't get credit for a catch, right, because it was pass interference, that still opens up and puts pressure on defenses because he is getting open. But one of the things that I was like, dude, what are you thinking? Was this lateral play to Rico? And Dave Canales did mention during his presser that Rico admitted that he called for the ball, but I don't care who's calling for the ball. That's something where it's just like Dave Canales said, let's not make things up. It's not the end of the game. It was, I believe it was just the first half. Like, let's just do your job and live to play another game. Now, I get like if the game was on the line, yes, you make plays like that, but this was just too backyard football for me. This wasn't a good look. And again, like with XL struggling, I think this makes it a little bit worse from an outside fan perspective. This doesn't worry me for moving forward with XL. He did look better out there. Again, I think with time, he's going to get his catches. He's going to get his touchdowns. It's going to come with time. Just continue grinding XL. You're going to get your. I believe in this dude, man. He can be a solid wide receiver too. Solid. So I'm rooting for the guy. I thought he had a better game, but this was definitely the lateral or the attempted lateral pitch back to Rico was just, dude, you can't do those things. That could have led another turnover, and that could have ruined the game for us. Just do your job. Now, one of the players that I'm really excited about is Jimmy Horn. Jimmy Horn, you noticed a peak increase in his snap percentage this past Sunday against the Cowboys. He only had 2 targets, but each target he got a catch. There's his longest reception was 34 yards. If Bryce threw a better ball on this play, I think he could have took it to the house. But he had 2 receptions for 36 yards. I do think Dave Canales and will over time increase his touches. As if he keeps being productive this way, you have to have him on the field because he adds a different element to this offense we don't have, which is speed. And if he continues to produce like this and keeps increasing his production, uh, opposing defenses are going to have to. This is going to open up the field, and opposing defenses are have to play softer because they have to account for Jimmy Horn. And this is something again that I think will really help Bryce because again, earlier in the season and even last year, we didn't have a running game. We didn't have a deep threat. So opposing defenses can play tighter in the box and just play press against receivers. Now that you're adding speed outside via Jimmy Horn and you have a good rushing offense, you're able to run the ball. This is opening things up for Bryce. And hopefully we can continue to develop overall as an offense to get better. But I think this is really going to help Bryce continue to feel more confident and play better football moving forward this season. Now, the question is, we talked about it a little bit earlier, with Jalen Coker coming back, what is the snap percentage going to look like with the wide receivers? There's people been saying like, oh, is Jimmy Horn going to get more snaps than Renfro, or is Renfro going to be a healthy scratch? I still think you keep all receivers, playing. It's just being able to. I just think you're going to have to get Jalen Coker his snaps because he's just too good. Him and Bryce have a really good. They have really good chemistry on the field. And I do think that they're going to slowly add Jalen Coker. There's no reason to give him like 100% snap shares. They'll probably give him like, my guess, anywhere around 40 to 60% snap percentage. I do believe he's going to be coming back against the Jets. And again, like if we're playing really well against the Jets, they're probably not going to rush him too much into, uh, you know, do have him do too much of a load working playing again in that game. But I do think like that's just a good question, and it's something I look forward to seeing. Is this wide receiver room is really deep, and with Jalen Coker back and how every single wide receiver has been playing, Bryson Tremaine, Jimmy Horn Jr., Hunter Renfrow on third down. That overall this group is producing, which is great. So this just allows fresh legs, good people go in and out. So this is a good problem to have. This is a good problem to have. But I'm really excited about Jimmy Horn's development moving forward. Hopefully his snap percentage can increase. He continues with the production, and we have that speed element that we've been looking and wanting. But let's get into Bryce Young. So Bryce Young, I thought had one of his better games, if not his best game of the season. He was 17 of 25 with almost 200 yards, 3 TDs, 1 interception, which again was not on Bryce, it was on T Mac, with a 68% completion percentage and 114.8 passer rating. Again, really good numbers, and this is really good game management quarterback play. I think this again, Bryce Young's one of his best games of the year, if not his best game of the year so far. He's making good decisions. He seems really poised in the pocket. He doesn't look flustered. He was throwing down the field specifically early, and I think that really forced Dallas's defense to give some cushion at the line. Even when they did stack the box, there were a few plays, specifically the one that was on fourth down, where Bryce made him pay and gave the ball to Tommy Tremble for a big game where Tommy tried to do the jump over a player when there's no need to jump. I feel like every time he's got the ball, he's trying to jump over someone. But again, throwing the ball down the field, especially early, it opens things up on your for the offense, and you're running the ball. But there were some stats that I thought were really interesting that I looked up. One of them was there were 6 plays Dallas sent 5 or more pass rushers that caused 3 pressures, 1 sack, and Young completed 3 out of 4 of his passes for 30 yards and a touchdown. So even with pressure, he was still productive. He did have a sack, but under pressure, he still was had some production. There was 21 dropbacks where Dallas's defense sent only 4 or sent 4 or less rushers, and that they out of those 21 dropbacks, they had 8 pressures. Bryce Young was 14 out of 21 for 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception, which again was on T Mac. So Bryce Young is producing, whether you get putting pressure on him or not, right? When one thing I thought was interesting, when the Panthers were trailing, when Bryce and the Panthers were trailing the Cowboys, Bryce was a perfect 10 for 10 for 125 yards and 3 touchdowns and a perfect passer rating, 158.3. So this is something that I'm really liking. What I'm seeing from Bryce Young is under pressure, when you're down, he's able to have that clutch gene where he's making plays and moving the ball down the field to score. Bryce Young, when targeting past the sticks versus Dallas, he was 8 of 9, 143 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Still, like he's a game manager to me, but he's getting better. It just seems like every week he's getting better. Now, to me, and just giving context and being honest, right? He has to be more consistent. He has to be like, turnovers are going to happen, but can you minimize the dumb mistakes, the fumble in Miami, the early turnover you had in Miami? Like, can you minimize these dumb mistakes? Mistakes are going to happen, right? But can you minimize or eliminate these turnovers and be consistent? Again, I think a lot goes into that. The running game, how the defense is playing, are they falling behind, right? Because when this team still hasn't shown, I mean, they've shown the ability to be able to come back, right? With the Dolphins, they almost came back against the Cardinals. But this isn't an offense that we're like, "Oh, yeah, if we're down by 2 possessions, like, we can definitely come back." Like, it's difficult. A lot of things have to work in our favor, specifically 200 yards rushing. So, when we had the turnover loss, battle, both against Dallas and against Miami, we ran for 206 yards, and we ran for 100 Rico Dowdle ran for 206 yards, and then also 183 yards. And our rush defense stopped them for 31 and 29. So there's still a lot of things that have to go right in order for Bryce and the offense to come back. So this is still not a super high power offense, but this offense is getting better. Now, I say game manager, it doesn't mean that he can't be a leader. So Bryce Young made a good point talking about the leadership here. He made a good point to Trevor Etienne towards the end of the game where he was like, "Hey, they're probably going to play soft. If they don't get the touchdown, just fall down and we'll kick the field goal. So that way that when they kick the field goal, it'll end the game." But Bryce Young made some really big plays, fourth down specifically. He eliminated the turnovers. The interception wasn't his fault. I feel like this was the cleanest Bryce Young game that he's had all season. So can we move forward? Now again, like if we can be we you know, if we're being honest and we want to nitpick a little bit, it's not really nitpicking when it's just more being honest. But what I'm gonna say doesn't mean like I'm diminishing what Bryce Young has done so far, but what we have done offensively has been against the two worst defenses in the league so far, Miami and Dallas. Can we do this against better defenses and against better teams? This team is finding different ways to win, but can we play better clean football and can we play consistent? Specifically, Bryce Young. Can he play consistent? Because if he can play consistent, he's going to be our franchise quarterback, in my opinion. But if he's playing inconsistent, that that's where things get really tough, And I believe in Bryce Young because, to be honest, Bryce Young is a little streaky, and there's games where he looks really good, and other games you're like, "What are you doing?" So I hope this is just a sign, even though it was against two weak defenses. Hopefully, it's just a sign of things to come throughout the rest of the season. But the MVP of this game, no doubt, Rico Dowdle. This was his revenge game. He told the Dallas Cowboys to buckle up. He told them, "I'm going to hit you in the mouth," and that got spread around the Dallas Cowboys locker room. By the way, on the Twitter and all that. Dak Prescott, defensive players heard that, said, "Okay, we'll be ready." And they were not at all. This dude, 30 rushes, 183 yards. He averaged 6.1 yards per carry. And he had the most receiving yards on the team as well, where he had 4 receptions with 56 yards. But a crazy stat I saw on X was he is the 7th player with 2 straight games of 225 plus yards, scrimmage yards since 1970. This guy has been a beast the last couple weeks. This is a good problem to have. So we signed him as on a 1-year deal. The last 2 games, he's making himself a lot richer. This is coming up off season. This is somebody where if he continues to play, like it's going to be really difficult for him to continue running 150 plus yards every week. But if this guy is producing, 80, 90, 100 yards and he's sharing with Chuba, which is, by the way, people are talking about trading Chuba. You get a lot of dumb people, when someone plays well, like, oh, this guy's playing well, so let's just trade the other guy that's in that position and just to get draft capital. I'm like, I don't get that. Can you imagine Chuba and Rico the way he's playing that and just having the 1-2 punch? And that's going to be something that might be difficult for Dave Canales in this offense is some running backs, they do better as the games go on with the more touches they get. Other running backs, it doesn't matter. So it's going to be interesting to see how he is able to, because he's going to, like, I believe before Rico started, when Chuba was out due to an injury, I think the snap percentage was roughly like 65, 35% Chuba. it's going to be at least 50-50, if not 60-40 Rico, in my opinion. You have to keep this guy, he has the hot hand. And I understand, like, I think sometimes it can be unfair losing your job, like, due to injury, but this is what happens. He's playing at a high level. You gotta keep giving him the ball. Like, he's gotta be RB1 right now, 1A and Chuba's 1B, but this guy is playing well, and you gotta continue to give him the rock. Because if he's running like that, if he's running and averaging 6 yards a carry, bro, you gotta keep him in. Trevor Etienne's about to see a lot less of that rock, and DJ Dallas is gone when Chuba comes back. DJ Dallas had, like, I think he had 1 snap at running back. He ran 3rd and 2, and he got stopped behind the line. They took his ass out right after that. After Rico had, like, 42 yards rushing, that first, series. But they need to resign Rico. But again, that Chuba trade noise, get out of here with that, guys. You guys don't know what you're talking about. They're both 1,000-yard receivers, and it's what's about. I said this before. I said it against them after I made a video after the Dolphins game. What's better than 1,000 yards rusher? Having two of them. But one of the units that we're not really talking about that isn't really getting a lot of praise is this offensive line. This offensive line is playing so well. Not just run blocking, I think they're second as a team and run blocking per PFF, but pass blocking too. We're giving Bryce time. Like, they're not before. Bryce is getting pressure even with teams rushing 4 only. Now they're sending extra players, and we're still picking it up and giving them time. But this team, even given the injuries, right? So you have obviously the biggest hit for us was losing Robert Hunt. You can't replace Robert Hunt. Pro Bowler, to me, second best player on the team outside of Derek Brown. But Brady Christensen has done an amazing job at right guard. An amazing job. Cade Mays, again, I've said this before in earlier videos. He's an upgrade over Austin Corbett. We lost 3 starting offensive linemen. That's a cute little stat to say. Oh, a cute little thing to say. To boost this offensive line group, and rightfully so. But Cade Mays is an upgrade over Austin Corbett. Cade Mays needs to be the long-term center of this team, and he needs to sign a deal in the offseason. We need to re-sign him this offseason. Now, I did see that Austin Corbett's 21-day practice window was going to open Wednesday. So if you don't remember, he had a tear on his left MCL, but he may come back, and that's cute for them to say, but he's not going to come back as a starting center. If he comes back as a starting center, you're going to see a lot of pissed off Panther fans, specifically me. He will not be starting at center. I think he will, the way Brady Christensen has been playing, he's going to stay at guard. I think Austin Corbett, who was playing, I believe he was playing right guard, and I think he can play left as well, but I know he was playing guard. I can't remember if it was left or right. I want to say it was right guard. But he's going to be the death piece. He's not going to be a starter coming back. Nope, not happening. But one of the Taylor Moton, when they announced that he was going to be out, that really shocked me. But I was really worried about Josh Nijman replacing Timo, because Josh Nijman, we saw whenever Icky came out, he really struggled at left tackle, but at right tackle, bro, he was not a liability as much as I thought he was going to be. Josh Nijman held his own. He actually had a pretty decent PFF grade. Josh Nijman did really, really good. What was his PFF grade? Was a 73.5. He had the 7th highest offensive PFF grade. He was not a liability. He played really, really well. So this is good to see your depth stepping up. And this is something the Panthers aren't used to having. We've always been top heavy, and at top heavy we weren't that good, but our depth was always Not we didn't have any depth. You're starting to see overall this team. Every team has injuries, but you're really starting to see the depth stepping up when they need to, and not being a liability and being a weak link for the team. I also think Icky is playing really consistent football right now. We are running the ball a lot more, and Icky is obviously more of a run blocker than a pass blocker. But I think when you run the ball like we have been, that really gets him playing a lot better at pass blocking as well. And if this continues, we will be signing him to a long term deal. Again, like he's always been a little sus at pass blocking. He hasn't been terrible, but when you are if you're a run first offense and you're left tackle, any offensive lineman, when you get them running the ball a lot, that makes it a lot easier for them when it comes to pass blocking. But this offensive line is playing phenomenal. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is this duo right here, Bryce Young and Dave Canales. A few weeks ago, I was saying this relationship here was not working, but things are starting to turn around. Now, again, it's turning around because we're finding out what our identity is, which is running the football, specifically with Rico Dowdle. And when you run the football, you take pressure off of Bryce. You're wearing the opposing defense down. You're letting your defense rest. It really is opening things up. But we are finding different ways to win. We shut out Atlanta at home. That was our first win, and that was a pure defensive game. The defense played it phenomenal. The whole defense did. Secondary, front seven, stopping the run. Then the Dolphins and the Cowboys is running the football. But Dave Canales is really doing a good job with this offense in general, in my opinion, for play calling. I feel like the play calling, it's almost like how it was in the back half of last year, where he has confidence in his offense executing, so he's really opening the playbook, which is I like to see. But against Dallas, we had offensively 64 snaps, which gave us 410 yards of total offense, which is averaging 6.4 yards per play. And we've only averaged 5 yards per play twice this season. That was against Miami and Dallas. Now, our offense caused Dallas to accumulate 11 missed tackles. Obviously, Rico's a big reason why, but Dallas, that defense is tied for the sixth most missed tackles in the NFL. Again, I'm applying context. Like like we should play well like this against bad teams, but can we play decent? Not like that we have to play like this so dominantly against like really good defenses, but can we still grind offensively and not get away from our game plan? Right? When things are going well and they continue to go well, it's easy as a play caller, i.e., Dave Canales, to continue with your game plan. But when things are not going well, will you not hit the panic button and try to just throw the ball, or are you going to stick with your game plan? And I think that's Dave Canales maturing as a head coach and a play caller. But again, like I feel like Dave Canales is also trusting Bryce Young a little bit more. Before week 6, Bryce Young has really struggled on deep throws. That was something I was mentioning on prior videos where he's just not throwing the ball downfield, which I felt like was just really allowing opposing defenses to press. And before week 6, he had only 3 deep throws for 79 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions all season. Against the Cowboys, he flipped the script, buddy, going 3 for 3 on deep passes for 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. This offense is also currently 4th in offensive success rate this season. The only teams that are ahead of us are the Colts, Bills, and Commanders. So this offense is they're getting better. And again, like I don't want to feel like I'm nitpicking, but it's against really bad teams. But again, at least we're doing this against the bad teams. We should. Now, can we be competitive and play well against better teams? Can we not make the stupid mistakes? Now we had the Jets coming up this week. The Jets, I feel like their record, like the Jets are to me a better football team than the Cowboys, in my opinion. Not offensively, but I, I'm basically trying to say the Jets' record doesn't really, to me, indicate how bad they are. I feel like they're a little bit better team than what the record shows, but they're going to be without Gary Wilson. There was reports today that he got an MRI. MRI was clean, but that he's going to be out this coming week against us. So against a really poor team offensively and defensively, and without your top wide receiver on offense, this should be a game we should win. Now, Bryce Young, I believe he's 1-15 on road games. That's not good. Again, we need to be able. This is a game that we should absolutely win. With the way we've been playing, there's no reason that we can't go in there and win. Dallas just won against the Bills, which I'm shocked by the way. The Bucks are still doing well. We have to stay competitive. We're the 500 winning percentage for the first time since 2021. Can we be a winning football team after this coming week, after this Sunday against the Jets? Just saying that this team is getting better. There's still things that need to be fixed. Again, we talked about it earlier. The edge rushers, but we need to be able to get to the quarterback. I just hope offensively Bryce Young can stay consistent, stay poised. We can continue running the ball. But hopefully Evero can figure something out with this defense because Mike Jack has just been, I don't know what's going on, man. Mike Jack has just been playing bad football the last couple weeks. But we've been struggling against wide receiver ones for sure. Because opposing offenses are just saying, okay, we're going to adjust here, have our wide receiver one go over here and run the play, and we don't even adjust that. So again, I'm not an X's and O's guys, but I'm just not sure if it's again a personnel thing or Evero thing or both. But I'm excited for this week. Hopefully we can get this win, be a winning football team for the first time since I think it's 2020, if I'm not mistaken. To look at it, but I will be making a future video probably around Friday, Saturday, going over the Jets as far as their personnel, some key matchups, some X factors against them. We'll give some updates as far as if Jalen Coker is coming back. Should be getting also who else is coming back? I believe it was JT Sanders. There's a few other people that are coming back. I feel like I'm missing somebody. We'll see if Turk Wharton can come back as well. So I'm really excited. This team is going to, this was a great team win. I think Dave Canales' biggest win of his career, Bryce Young's biggest win of his career. Can we continue? Can we continue playing consistent football? Right? Because, and again, I still think Panther fans overall will say, hey, like we want to be competitive. It's okay. We're not going to win every single game. We know that, but can we get out of our own way and us not be one of the reasons why we're losing? So, but thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts were about the Dallas game. Again, I'll be dropping a video in a couple days, probably around Friday, going over the Jets. But until then, keep pounding, guys. You guys have a great week, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.